What's up? Fuck's up? Oh, I'm going home. You know, YouTube sucks so bad. I can't believe they turn off you guys' fucking comments, right? Fuck, I got dip all over my screen. They turn you guys' fucking comments off so that people that are watching the video after the fact can't fucking see them. You know what I mean? Howdy, y'all. What's up? Yeah, it's pretty much, I was driving home and I was thinking about I'll squeeze in a stream. I got a lot of work to do this weekend, so I probably won't be doing much anything. I'm working on music. I'm pretty excited about it. I also got a video I'm working on. It's gonna be a lot more. You'll fucking get your fucking entertainment fix for sure. I was thinking about like these the videos that I'm doing. They get so many. There's so many fucking like. I understand it. I understand the. I'm talking about the phenomenon of humanity, of how selfish people are. And when I mean selfish, I don't even mean in a material sense, although that is the base sense of the idea of that. But I mean in terms of like their brain structure. Like people's fucking brains are melted where it's like they just can't help but think about themselves. It's so weird. It's such an alien I don't know. It's just not very useful, you know what I mean? It's not very efficient or useful. There's a lot of people that the topics that I'm discussing on this channel are somewhat complex compared to like entertainment and shit and news, which is entertainment. It's propaganda, but it's entertaining propaganda, and that is so ridiculous. They think about what they're going to say first. The stuff that I try to bring up in this channel is a little bit more complex than that. Look at that big old snapper right there. You see that hunger snapper? He's like, brr. Can you see him right there? He's looking at me. He's giving me the old turtle eye. Snapper. Some of the topics that we talk about on the channel are kind of complex, I guess. People just have a really hard time with them, but it's not all trolls. Like there are subversives and trolls in here, but it's also people that can't see it because they can't let go of whatever it is that they're selling. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is that they need to sell and convince everybody else of, they can't. They have to like relate whatever it is that they hear will get related and warped into whatever it is that they're selling. And it's not a conscious thing, right? It's like a subconscious thing. Because that's kind of what I think that's what a lot of people do that are inundated by default. It's kind of the way that they train you. That's the way that they like fucking brainwash you, make you think that everything that you do is about yourself, make you think that way, and then they placate to it in the control paradigm. So you actually don't get anything that you want. You get everything that fucking sucks, and then you're so mentally fucking microwaved in your head that you just rewrite your standards to meet the paradigm, and you say that you got it. You know what I mean? Like that's how it works. But people apply that model. It's so powerful that it applies to everything. So people can't help but see. And it's a human factor too. It's not just propaganda and shit like that, but it's something that's there before that. It just gets amplified by the propaganda and shit like that, right? And so the error is not being able to just listen and see, like, you know, you don't have to agree with anything that I say. You can just, but most of the shit that I'm saying isn't something that's like, it's like a way, like I'm basically just telling you events in an order that's a little bit different, that's actually chronological, emphasizing the points that are more useful to explain what's really going on. And that's most of the shit that I'm saying. And then every once in a while, I'll throw in the direct interpretation, like, this is what's happening, you know? Just because I know that you're, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people that watch this that are plenty fucking smart enough to figure this shit out. Or that probably know a lot more than me. But the fucking, I'm throwing it out there for people that aren't going to get there on their own. I'll throw them like a little bone every once in a while. But I don't like to do it, because what if I'm wrong, right? What if I'm wrong? Like, I don't want to suggest that. What I want to do is like show you a direction that you haven't looked because you've been looking another way. Not necessarily interpreting what it means or why it's happening, right? But the problem, the whole problem, the whole thing is that there is what people don't understand now. We went into talking about the separation of worlds in a like an actuality, of examining actuality, of how we perceive reality as we live, and discussing how they're actually mutually exclusive worlds that overlap. And I tried my best to flesh it out so that you can see how that's a real thing. It's not like some kind of, you know, it's not like an ideal, right? It's not an ideal. It's not like a something that you're gonna go put quarters into a fucking pan or something, or dollar bills into a pan like you're at a strip club or something. It's nothing like that. It's like a evaluation of your actual perception in reality, and it's not accounted for in science or philosophy. And so, and it has other extensions that I didn't go into because it's not the time. But the other part of that I didn't go into was the sight of the worlds. And the sight of the worlds, like your actual sight between the fucking your actual sight between the fucking your actual between the fucking your perception and what you view. It actually, you know, it's actually different for each person. I'm not going to go into that deeply, but what people, it involves everything internal, external, and which in all the worlds that are shared, you know. So like what's going on in your mental world affects it, what's going on in the physical world that you shared affects it, but also the changes that take place in the physical world and your particular perspective, your angle of physical viewing, and everything that goes on in your body and in your mind affects your perception, as well as time, like past experiences and things like that. So they're not the same. We don't really see the same thing. And people make a serious error of within that. They when they self-placate to themselves all the time, which is not useful, it causes an atrophy of that awareness, or the ability to be aware that that's even taking place. And then what happens is they begin to project all these internal facets of their side, because that is their sight. And so they'll hear something that I say that I don't say, and they'll make the assumption that I'm saying, and then they'll have a completely counterpoint, entire story that has nothing at all to do with what I'm saying, both literally in the words that I'm saying, but also in the topic of the nature of what I'm saying, like the domain of the topic, to understand it. And they warp for themselves the ability to even get to a place of like understand. Like they're not going to get there because they're just too sick. They're too sick in the head, you know. And they don't even know. Like that's the sad thing about it. It's like there's nothing I could be like, hey, you're not really like understanding what's going on here. I'd be like, oh, so you think I'm dumb, huh? It's like, no. Like you slow the fuck down a little bit. Like put on some brakes. Listen to the fucking words that I'm saying and don't read into them. Just like listen to what I'm saying. I don't, at this juncture, I don't recommend reading books for clarity. I recommend connecting to the world for clarity. That's what I recommend. Not people. Not what people think, what people say. The world. Yeah, I'm in the fucking backwoods, boys. So we're gonna have a fucking bumpy stream here. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Missouri, Missouri. There's a snapping turtle. There's a dead possum on the road. Oh. Crunchy roads, crunchy roads, take me home to the quarry where you came from. Little rocks on the road, getting right the fuck up in my axle, wearing out my bearings faster than usual. Alright. What else? What would be good to talk about? Anything crazy going on? People do eat possum. I typically, unless I'm starving, I'm not going to eat something that eats meat. You typically want to stay as close to the source as possible, which would be the sun. Yeah, you can eat fucking people if you're hungry. I wouldn't recommend it. You guys ever seen that? You ever seen that Asian guy? There's a Chinese guy that was buying cadavers of like dead babies and people and stuff and eating them, and then he was doing it as like I don't know what it was. It was like some weirdo Chinese, like he was I think he was fucking saying that he was like, fuck, am I going the right way? Fuck, I don't know. No, this ain't it. That's flooded. He was doing it as like a it was the Chinese version of like of intelligent protest, basically. Motherfucker. It was like their version of like a protest. He was like he was like, you know, in the book, in the Abrahamic religions, it doesn't say anything about not eating cannibalism, and it's not in the law. Did you guys notice this? And they're like, oh, and then he's like, yeah, so I'm eating people, and then they're like, oh, that's weird. And he's like, I know. You can just get away with it. And that was his entire point. Basically means he's fucking insane. He wasn't doing he was doing like socially experimenting with legal limits and religious limits and shit, and just consuming human flesh. It's obviously insane. but getting like media interviews and stuff because of the audacity of his wretchedness. The Chinese guy says that. He's like, oh, you don't like me eating these cadavers? Oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought this was America. I'm like, sir, you're in fucking Manchuria. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America. I thought we had freedom. I thought we had freedom of speech. I thought we had Second Amendment, man. I wonder how long it's gonna. You know, the only thing that I don't know is how long it's gonna take for these motherfuckers to wake up. How long do you think it's going to take? Like, how long do you think it's going to take to break the conditioning? Because it has to snap at some point. Like, I mean, that's the point of this, right? Like, if you really look at it, the reason that the ridiculousness of this paradigm is increasing at such an like, if you go on to the most permitted to be extreme social medias like 4chan and stuff like that, they've got that term which is like clown world, where they're saying like, oh, it's clown world because things are so ridiculous. Like, you know that the point of that is destabilization, right? Like, they're waiting for society. They're escalating it, making it more and more insane until society reacts, right? It pops and breaks. Like, how long do you think it's going to take? It's not, and I don't believe that society will come to an accountable or realistic catharsis. I think they'll come to a selfish and half-truth catharsis. How long do you think it's going to take? Decades? I don't think it's going to be decades. I think max 20 years. I mean, I guess that's decades, but I think it's the max 20 years. At the rate that it's escalating, oh, they got to get the boot. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it'll have to be. I mean, I think you'll have to have fucking. I think you'll have to have. I don't think that people get stirred up until their women and children start dying. Like, when women and children start dying, like women start getting raped and stuff, that's when typically like people go like, whoa, hey, and then they start getting upset. I kind of, I mean, not like that's good. I'm not like in any way supportive of that in any way. I'm just saying that's where it gets to in its most extreme. The boot is a pillow. Well, stay in bed as long as people tell them. Yeah, but at some point, right? Like, if somebody's like, yeah, here, eat your breakfast, and they're feeding you dog shit and gravel, like, you might have a couple of bowls of it, but at some point, you know, like, once you start becoming malnutrition and sick and shit, at some point you're gonna be like, you know, what did I do? Let's see. I got enough sleep, you know, I drank enough water, but I'm really sick. Maybe it's the gravel and dog shit that I'm eating every day. You know, like, at some point they have to, there's going to be a process of elimination when they're going to have to they're going to fucking figure out something is wrong. I don't know how long it'll take. It's an interesting thing to think about. It's really, if you think about it, what comes into your mind will not all come to be. You shall not be as in, he shall rule over you with it, and your nakedness will be shown. Yeah, red pilling. As if there's ever been a fucking red pill. The only red pill is just look the fuck around. Open your eyes. Connect with reality, with the existence that we're in. Yeah, exactly right. Now, what'll be really interesting will be the people that first start to that take the traditional model, like the fighting model, and fight world government. That's going to be interesting because they're going to be so fucking balls to the wall. It's going to be a real display of humanity, like in terms of human will. It'll be very sad. It'll be very inspiring also. I gotta go. I love you.